Hey, what's going on, guys, and welcome back to another episode of my Football Manager series. This is episode number 10, and today we are returning with a brand new season as our second year at the Den is about to get underway with the first game of the new Championship season. There's also a look at how pre-season went and what happened in the World Cup too, and of course the transfer special as well. Let's get to that first. So if this is the first Football Manager series of mine you've watched, then basically at the start of every single new season, we do a transfer special in the season opener, where I recap what happened in the summer window, all the departures, all the arrivals, and go through all of our new signings one by one. But this season was quite an interesting one for new arrivals, and I'll explain why in just a moment's time. But as for the departures, we always start off with the players that left the club first. On the right-hand side here, it doesn't actually show you the players that left the club on free transfers. However, I will show you the players we did indeed release, and as you can see, there are a couple of noteworthy names that you might have been wondering whether they got contracts or not. Lots of young talents left the club. Harry Smith, a young striker that we have, very, very tall players, gone to Crawley Town, didn't give him a new contract. Chris Twardek, a young Canadian, also left the club as well. He's gone on a free transfer too. And also the most noteworthy departures were David Martin, the backup goalkeeper we had last year. He's gone on a free transfer, hasn't been picked up by anyone yet. And also Byron Webster did indeed leave the club after 100 plus games for Millwall. I wanted to keep him here, but he wouldn't listen to new contract talks. He wanted to leave the club, and he's been picked up by Sheffield United, an interesting destination for Webster, as he's off to Bramwell Lane. And because last season, of course, Sheffield United, we were sort of like around the same place with them for the majority of the season. So he's off to Bramwell Lane, and that's quite interesting. But as for other departures, as you can see, Jim Abdu got a new one-year contract with us, but he's gone on loan to Wycombe Wanderers for a year. He's just not good enough to play in the Championship. I didn't want to release him on a free, but he's not going to stay. So he's off to Wycombe for a year, and they'll pay his wages. James Brown has gone to Exeter on loan. I'm not going to make any puns for that, but he's gone to Exeter for a one-year deal, and I promise not to sing. And also Tim Cahill didn't need to leave the club, as you guys are aware. He's gone to LA Galaxy for a year. Gutted about it, but that was already on the cards, and you knew about that in January last season. So Cahill has officially gone. We're gutted, but one of those things. But as for the new signings, well, there's been quite a few. 8 in total, but prepare to be uninspired by the new arrivals. Basically, our budget was very small. I couldn't do much, but I'll show you what I've done. And to be honest, I think I've done the best I possibly could. So let's dive into the new arrivals, and we'll start off with this one. So 8 new signings in total then, and we shall start off with this one. Curtis Anderson, a 17-year-old goalkeeper released by Manchester City in the summer, and this is definitely one to watch for the future. I thought we may as well gamble on him. He's only going to cost us 400 quid a week on a 3-year deal, and he's already got 13 for reflexes, 12 for positioning as well. Stats aren't great. He's currently operating at a Vanarama National League level, so not great right now. When you look at his potential, this guy could be very, very good in the future. So a low-risk signing, a free transfer. He's currently learning from Jordan Archer. You know, not exactly a headline signing, obviously, but he's got in our youth team, and he could be all right in the future, so one to keep an eye on. Next up, another free transfer, and expect me to be saying that quite a lot during this summer window due to a very small budget. Stephen Quinn has arrived from Reading, also on a free. This guy has got some really nice mental stats, and what you are going to see throughout the course of this little transfer special is these are the sort of players I was going for on freebies. 18 determination, 15 teamwork, 17 work rate. This is what I love in Football Manager. Great mental stats and players that really work for it. If you've been on my channel for a while, you'll know I'm a sucker for a workhorse. I love those guys that really put the grind in, and Stephen Quinn certainly does those mental stats. Not exactly a great player by any means. Physically, he's declining a little bit right now. He's 32 years old. He turned 33 during the season. Technically not terrible, but he's relatively versatile. Can play CM as well as left midfield, plus could possibly be retrained to play in the left back role as well. We'll need to improve these defensive stats. However, at 32, he's got some great mentals, and that's what I was looking for. So it's just a 1-year deal for Stephen Quinn, but we can give him an extra 1 year if we'd like to do so. And a relatively versatile player, adds depth, and most importantly, great mental stats. That's what I was going for. Next up, yet another free transfer. Pretty much every single signing was a free transfer, if I'm being honest. And Liam Rossigna has joined the club, a versatile fullback that can play on either side with, again, some very nice mental stats. And this is pretty much exactly what I was looking for with every single signing here. He's got 15 determination, 16 teamwork, 17 work rate, and technically he's not terrible either in defensive stats, so he could be a pretty decent defensive fullback for us, either right back primarily or in the left back role. He has just turned 34 years old. His contract contract, just like Quinn's, is just a one-year deal, and if he plays 30 games, he'll get an extension, but that's highly unlikely to happen as he's third choice behind Romeo and, of course, Connor McLaughlin. But he joins from Brighton on a free transfer, and he's another one of those players who I bought in mainly for those mental stats, to be a sort of a dressing room leader, if you will, and he's currently tutoring young Marlon Romeo as well. So Racine in, again, it's a player that's not a headline signing, but he adds depth, he's got great mental stats, and again, that's what I was primarily looking for in this summer window. Fourth signing, and I've got to say, I'm very happy with this one. You might not have been too impressed with the previous three, but I think this is a really good signing for us. Jack Hobbs is in from recently relegated Nottingham Forest on a free transfer, and after the departure of Byron Webster, we were going to need a new centre-back with Shackle going back from his loan spell as well, and I really like this guy a lot. He's 29 years old, though he will turn 30 in a week's time, but he's described as a powerful centre-back by the media, and he certainly is. He's 6'3" with 15 for jumping reach, 16 for strength, mentally very good with 16 bravery, 17 determination, gotta love that, and 14 work rate too, and technically not bad either on the ball. He's got 10 for first touch, not terrible, and 12 for passing, and defensively is very good with 16 heading, marking 13, and tackling 14 as well. He's only on 3.6k a week on a 2-year deal, so the contract is not bad at all, and I gotta say, I'm very happy with this signing right here. You know, it's a free transfer, it's not exactly a headline signing, obviously none of our signings are headline signings really, but I think as a defensive centre-back, really solid, very safe, and at 6'3" as well, pretty strong too. So Hobbs in on a free transfer, 2-year deal, and I'm really happy with that one, very happy. Next up is one of the free loan signings we've made, and I've got to say I'm very happy with this one as well. I'm a big fan of this young kid in real life. He was part of the England Under-20 World Cup winning squad, and he saved a penalty in the final as well. It's Freddie Woodman, who's arrived from Newcastle on a 1-year loan deal. We're only paying £1,500 a week for the year as well, and no monthly fee either, so a very cheap deal. And after the departure of David Martin, we were going to need a new backup goalkeeper, and I rate this kid a lot. He's got some very good stats as well, with 15 for one-on-ones, 15 for reflexes, 13 positioning at bad for a goalkeeper who's just 21 years old. And as he arrives from the Magpies on this 1-year deal, he won't take Jordan Archer's place in the first 11. Archer will still be our number one, but as a backup goalkeeper and someone to keep an eye on for the future as well, maybe bring him back permanently, I'm pretty happy with this signing. So yeah, Woodman is in on a 1-year deal, and again, cheap wages, backup goalkeeper, and a good little talent for the future, worth keeping an eye on. And the next signing is another loan one, and it's quite an exciting one as well. If you watched my whole save, you would know we had this guy for a brief period of time before he left to PSG after they met his release clause. If you're watching my Aston Villa career mode right now, you'll know we've got this guy as part of our squad. It's safe to say I really like this young American talent. Cameron Carter-Vickers is on loan from Spurs for the year. We're paying 10 grand a week for him though, which is quite steep for a player that won't be in the first 11 all the time this season. However, I like this guy in my whole save in the last FM I did, and I like the guy's stats in this year's FM save as well. 14 for heading, marking 15, tackling 14, positioning 12 isn't too bad, and physically not bad either at 6 foot. And Cam did so well in my whole save. I'm hoping he'll do as well in my Millwall save as well. Just here for the year like Freddie Woodman, but again, one of those players to keep an eye on for the future. If he does well in his year here at the Den, we might consider bringing him back permanently. So Cameron Carter-Vickers in. I've got a soft spot for this young American talent. Very, very good in my last save with Hull. Very good in my Aston Villa save. Let's see how he gets on the Den in this Millwall save. So penultimate signing of the 8 then, and it is yet another player that has arrived on a free transfer from recently relegated Nottingham Forest. It is Ashkan the Jagger. Moves like the Jagger, had to get him. That was my fantasy team name all those years ago when he played for Fulham. And this guy's a pretty decent pickup on a free. Now he may be 32 years old, but he's here on a 2-year deal on 7 grand a week. And since Ben Marshall hasn't come back on a permanent deal because Wolves are asking for too much money, I'm happy with this. He's a right midfielder by trade, but can play really anywhere across the midfield, so great to have that sort of versatility on the guy. And whilst physically he's not really worth discussing, mentally he's pretty decent with 16 for flair as well. Really like that on a wide midfielder. Plus technically very good as well. Crossing 13, dribbling 14, first touch 15, passing 12, long shots 14, not bad either, with 14 technique too. And yeah, on a 2-year deal, Ashkan the Jagger, I'll probably say one of our best signings of the window. I'm not sure we'd take Jed Wallace's place in the starting right midfield role. I highly doubt it, but certainly a decent player to add depth to our side, good versatility across the midfield as well. And yeah, moves like the Jagger is in, and I'm very happy with this signing. Another free transfer, but I would definitely say a decent little pickup there. And as for our 8th and final signing, it was the last one I made of the window. It is a loan signing, it is a 6-month deal, and when I saw he was listed for loan, I just had to bring him in. If you've watched any of my previous FM saves before, you know I've got a thing for signing former players that are well past their prime, but I still believe they could do something special in their final years. Welcome to Millwall Football Club, Peter Crouch. Peter Crouch is in on a 6-month loan deal, and I gotta say, I'm not expecting much here. We'll see what he can do between now and January, and if he does prove to be, decent at best, then we might extend the loan for the rest of the year. But I've signed Crouchy for one reason and one reason only. Mentally, this guy is fantastic, and we like those dressing room leaders, we like those workhorses. Determination 14, teamwork 17, work rate 18, absolutely love that. Composure 17 as well, isn't too bad. Really, mentally, the guy's fantastic, whilst physically, he's slower than me off the mark with 2 acceleration, and that's saying something, so I'm slower than a snail. But he's got 18 for jumping reach, and as we know, he's 6'7", he's a lanky giant, Peter Crouch, a target man that could really do well for us despite only having 13 strength now, but technically, he's still not bad. 14 finishing, first touch 13, heading 14 as well, and for passing 12 too, he could possibly hold the ball up for us quite nicely in a supporting target man role. I guess we'll have to wait and see. But Crouchy is in for 6 months, and we might extend the loan for a year. We're paying $9,000 a week of his wages from Stoke as well, and we'll see if he can cut it at the Den. I'm not too confident, but I thought we may as well bring him in. International experience, seasoned pro, high work rate, and we'll see what Crouchy can do. And I think what is going to be his final year in football as well. I'm pretty sure he said he plans to retire, at the end of the year, and we'll see what he can do for us. So those are the 8 signings then. Not a single penny was either raised or spent in this summer window in transfer fees. Because whilst our money has increased a little bit, as you'll see by the finance section right now, we didn't really have much money to work with. Just £1 million in the summer window. Wage budget wasn't too high either. And as I was looking down the list of players we could sign for permanent transfer fees, I gotta be honest, I was very disappointed at the options. The number one target I wanted was Josh Vela from recently relegated Bolton. But as you can see, they wanted £5.5 million, and we just don't have the money to pay that. So it's frustrating. But Ben Marshall as well, someone else I wanted too, but again, they're asking for too much money, which we just don't have. Millwall, at the end of the day, don't have much money, and we still don't. And I don't know how long it's going to be before we have a lot of money in our budget, but I thought instead of spending our transfer budget on a couple of squad players that weren't really going to be worth the transfer fees, I thought we may as well save our cash and try and get our finances up. Last year they were plummeting, now they're the healthiest they've ever been. So we're playing the long-term game here with Millwall. It's not about spending all our money in the first window. No, we want to save our money, and hopefully in years to come we'll have more to work with in the transfer budget, and then we'll start making some decent signings. So yeah, you might be relatively underwhelmed by the 8 signings I've made, but I think I did the best I could. I really do. There were very few good players on freebies this year that we could possibly get us to join the club. I think I've done the very best I could have done with the team, and I'm reasonably satisfied with our summer transfer window. So as for the team report then, you can see there are a few weaknesses here, but more strengths to our team. And as you can see, these are the main 2 which I absolutely love here. The high work rate. This is a really hard-working squad with plenty of players willing to put in the required effort. And this is a closely knit group of players who often display high levels of individual and collective teamwork. I absolutely love that, and that's really crucial here at the end. We want players that are going to fight for the Millwall shirt, and that's the sort of squad I'm trying to assemble here. And as for the depth chart, I think I've improved it. I really do. We've got more players in our first team than we did last year. There's not that much in the way of increased quality, but there is a little bit in a couple of areas, particularly the wide midfield area on the right-hand side as we bring in Ashkan Jagger. The fullback role, now that Liam Rossini's into the club as well, that's really good for a little bit of a versatile fullback there. And as for the goalkeeper position too, Freddie Woodman, I think, could be someone that could play a couple of games this season more than David Martin did, not just in the Cups. I guess we'll have to wait and see. But the squad depth isn't too bad, and I like the team we've got. And again, there's more depth to it than last year, which is really crucial in a long championship season. And again, we will be operating in the 4-4-2 this year, probably the same instructions as well, because I really like it. We had a bad run to end last season, but I really like these tactics, and we seem to play very well in the 4-4-2 like we do in real life. Now, some of you guys might be wondering why in the last episode I didn't show you what happened in the Premier League as the season was coming to its close. It's because the 38th game hadn't been played, and thus there was still things to be decided. But Manchester United did win the Premier League. If you watch my whole Hull save last year. That won't come as much of a surprise to you, as they absolutely dominated in that save. And the three teams that went down were West Bromwich Albion, Newcastle United and Swansea, as they'll join us in the Championship for this season. And the teams that went up were Peterborough United. Who else went up as well? Well, I'll quickly find out for you. Blackpool went up, I know that as well. And there was still, Blackburn, Blackpool and Peterborough went up from League One last season to join us in the Championship. Now, as for the World Cup, you might be wondering what happened in the Russia 2018 competition. Well, as you can see, Spain managed to win it by beating France on penalties as they were crowned champions. And you can see England did get to the semis, but they were beaten by Spain on penalties. England don't win penalty shootouts, we know that, either in real life or in the game. And they were thumped by Germany in the third place playoff as well. And yeah, so that was what happened in the World Cup. And there you go. So that, I think, is that for what I wanted to show you to start the new season. Oh, something you might be interested in. Now, if you follow me on Twitter, you would have seen this yesterday. My Twitter is @DocClanders. I encourage you guys to follow me there, because I often put up screenshots from the save for what's going on. We did improve our coaching team. This is getting better year after year. And as I always say, the coaching staff in FM is one of the most crucial departments you've got to improve. I really find it so important. So our coaching staff's improved. Fitness has gone up to second division. Defence now up to third as well. Gotta love that. And as for our under-23s, you might be interested in this. Ryan Mason has joined the club as an under-23s coach. His coaching stats are horrible. He's got no qualifications, well, relatively no qualifications whatsoever. But, of course, Mason suffered that horrendous injury with Hull City against Chelsea last season. It was so sad. And, of course, that forced him into early retirement. And as some of you guys may not be aware, Ryan Mason actually spent a year here on loan for Millwall. It was half a year, actually, on loan for Millwall. If I remember correctly, we're using him more often as a right midfielder than a CM during the time he spent here. But yeah, Mason spent a very brief period of time at the Den, and I just thought it'd be quite nice. I saw him in the coaching pool, and I thought it'd be quite nice to give him his first coaching role for us after he was forced into early retirement. So Mason's here, and hopefully he'll develop these stats over time and get more coaching qualifications as well. I thought you might be interested in that. It's just, that's one of the things I really love about FM, when you can sign former and ex-pros as coaches and scouts as well. It's really cool, and there you go. So, yeah, that's basically that, and let's go ahead and dive into the first game of the new season then. And it's an interesting one, because we are taking on West Bromwich Albion, of course a recently relegated side at the Den in the first game of the new year. And of course we lost to them in the FA Cup quarterfinals last year, so I'm really excited for this, and it should be a lot of fun. Oh, also as well, you might be wondering who won the FA Cup. It was Manchester United. Hardly a surprise. They beat Burnley in the final by a 0-0 to win a domestic double. And again, if you watch my whole save last year, Manchester United won literally every trophy in the span of 9 seasons. It was ridiculous. So it's not a surprise they've already picked up a domestic double just through 1 year in this save. But yeah, first game of the season is West Brom at home. Let's see if we can start off with a win, but I will take a draw against a recent relegated side. Let's find out how we do. So this is our team for the first game of the new year. Jordan Archer, sorry, I want to show you the pre-season as well. Forgot about that. This is how pre-season went. Not too exciting, but we won all our games apart from one. This is our team for the game. Jordan Archer in goal. Back for Meredith, Hutchinson, Cooper and McLaughlin, with Ferguson on the left, Wallace on the right, and Sowell and Williams in the middle. And up top together, Gregors and Steve Morrison. And on the bench, Woodman, Carter Vickers, Romeo, Thompson, DeJagger, O'Brien, and Tom Elliott as well. So none of our new signings will make their debuts today, but a couple are on the bench. First game of the season, it's West Brom. Let's see how we go. Let's see how we do. Come on, you Lions. West Brom, as you can see, still have a fantastic team, so they'll be tipped as one of the favourites to go right back up to the Premier League. As for our season preview, by the way, the media predicted us to finish in 21st place, and we have a 1,000 to 1 chance of promotion, apparently. And I think that's an insult. I think that's a real insult. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't target promotion this year. I'm not even targeting playoffs. I'm going to be satisfied with another mid-table finish, but 21st place? Did you not see us last season? FA Cup quarter-finalists and finishing in the top half? Come on, lads, that's an insult. So first highlight of the game, it does look like it will come to the Baggies as we expected. Kieran Gibbs floats one in, but Jake Cooper heads clear. But it'll come straight back to the former Arsenal left-back as Jake Livermore now receives the ball. Here is Palmer through to Nasser Chadley, and Chadley shoots and hits the post there. Archer seen to misjudge it off the woodwork, and we scramble it clear. Still 0-0. Not too many highlights thus far, that was the only one, and I would certainly take a goalless draw at home on the opening day. So half time, and it is still goalless. And again, I would certainly take this result. Speaking of season expectations, by the way, the lowest I could set from the board was to finish in mid-table. So obviously John thinks that we can definitely have another good year in the championship and be relatively safe for the majority of the season like we did last year. And there was no, avoid relegation or attempt to avoid relegation. The lowest I could set was finish mid-table. So let's see if we can do it again. But sadly, we have just given away a penalty here. Conor McLaughlin has just pushed Craig Dawson, and there's a chance for Nasser Chadley to give the Baggies the lead. 53 minutes in, and the Belgian has indeed done that. So Millwall 0, West Brom 1, 53 minutes in, and off to the worst possible start in the second half, but not a real surprise. And it is worth noting we lost the season opener last year at home to Nottingham Forest, who ended away at Nottingham Forest, who ended up getting relegated. So it's one game. We haven't played too well, but we're against one of the strongest sides in the division, so not too concerned about this. I will be concerned if we concede another goal straight away, though. And we've done just that. Jake Livermore gets on the end of a junior Stanislas free kick. And the Baggies have doubled their lead 12 minutes after the restart, going 1 goal up and now 2 goals up as well. Nice free kick by junior Stanislas, and Livermore beats his man in the air to head it past Jordan Archer. And West Brom 2 goals to the good. And this has not been an ideal start, but Lee Gregory had a chance there to put us back in the game that heads that free kick just over the bar. I think I will make some changes here. 20 minutes to go. Let's bring on some new signings and see how they do. Wait, there's a highlight here. We'll do it straight afterwards. Ben Foster with a goal kick, launched it long, and that should be as it is. Hutchinson heads it on, but straight back to a West Brom player as Jay Rodriguez now finds James Morrison. And Morrison over the top finds Stanislas in behind Meredith. Crosses Rodriguez is there. It's 3-0 to West Brom. And now I am getting concerned. We've signed Hobbs. We've signed Carter Vickers. I think we might be playing those two in our next game in our centre-back role, because we are getting undone very, very, very quickly here. 62 minutes in, and we've already conceded 3 goals. The second half got underway. Stanislas in behind Meredith. Rodriguez in between 2 defenders. Heads it home. 3-0 West Brom. Worst possible start to the new season. So highlight for Millwall, 3 minutes to go. Can we get a consolation goal as Ferguson down left-hand side crosses to the middle, and there is Gregors, and Ben Foster makes the save, and it's then turned behind for a corner. Only real sight goal, and it's Ben with the stop, as West Brom still lead by 3. When you look at the stats, we've actually not played that badly. It's just that West Brom have been clinical, and that's why they lead by 3 goals to 0, and we haven't found a goal at all. So, yeah, worst possible way to start the season. Millwall are going to sit in 24th place through the first 90 minutes of the year. But hey, we lost the opening day last season, and we ended up finishing in 10th place. So do you know what? I'm gonna say to the boys calmly, I'm far from pleased. That is gonna motivate and fire at the boys. But that was a frustrating start to the season, but pretty much exactly what we expected. And again, for season 2, as you can see by the competitions here, the board wants to finish in mid-table. That is the lowest expectation I could give. And that's what we're targeting again. As much as we'd like a playoff push this season, as much as we would like to consider ourselves capable of gaining promotion to the Premier League, I just don't think it's possible in Season 2. This is a very long-term project, and there is a long way to go, especially based on the start to Season 2. But that will end today's episode of the Football Manager series, guys. Hope you have enjoyed the season opener. If you have, then please do drop a like, as likes are, of course, very much appreciated, and they really help channel out as well. We shall return with the second episode of the new season, and we shall come back with games against... Let's try and progress through the season pretty quickly here in the first half. We'll come back with games against possibly QPR away and Sheffield Wednesday at home. Nice little London derby there, plus Sheffield Wednesday too. But I think I'd rather play teams we didn't really face last season if we could. Who didn't we face last season? Oh, okay, there's a good double-header there against two recently relegated side and a newly promoted side. Swansea away in Wales at Liberty Stadium, plus Blackburn at home as well, who came from League One last year. Nice little double-header there. So we'll play all through the rest of August and September as well, and come back for this double-header in late October. So thanks for watching, guys. Have a fantastic Sunday. Much love to you, and I'll see you for the second episode of Season 2 featuring Swansea away and Blackburn at home, where hopefully we've got our first win in the Championship very soon. Bye.